Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a College of Glamour Bard multi-class with the Oath of the Crown Paladin in Baldur's Gate 3. So this Bardadin build guide is pretty fun because the Paladin gets ourselves an extra attack and is a half caster, and the Bard is a full caster so that we can get ourselves higher level spell slots. I genuinely think that it's better to start as a Paladin as they have a better start. They get heavy armor proficiency if you start as a Paladin, and on top of that, Divine Smite is just really nice. So we'll start off as the Oath of the Crown there. We get the Righteous Clarity, which adds proficiency bonus to a target's attack rolls. This is nice if you have someone with great Weapon Master because you can boost up their attack rolls by 4, so that kind of offsets it for 10 turns. And with this, we're going to go with the ability score setup. We want to have our Charisma at 16, and it might actually be best to go Dexterity based because we're going to want to use some different light armor and medium armor choices in the game. So we can effectively go with something like 16 Dex, 14 Constitution, 10 Intelligence, Wisdom, and then 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 16 Charisma, 10 Intelligence, Wisdom. So stat spread like this works best as we want to focus mostly on our Charisma. Now early game, if you want to use a two-handed weapon, go Strength, and then you can change out of it later. Fowler Alluve is a good Act 1 weapon that uses Dexterity. At level 2, we get our most powerful ability on this class with Divine Smite. This gives additional radiant damage on attacks. It's very strong. If you've used a Paladin before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So our fighting style, +1 bonus armor class is really nice. We want to go with that unless you're dead set on using either dueling or great weapon fighting, because defense, just the +1 armor class scales a lot better in the game. Now for our ability scores, we do get command later on, so we could take it right now and just wait till we get a next level, take the smites, and then for your extra skill you can go like Divine Favor, something like that. There's a lot of concentrations that we're not going to want to use them because the Bard actually adds better concentrations for us. At level 3, we get the Champion's Challenge. We can make all enemies in a large area attack us. This hits in a 9-meter radius, and it's basically a goading attack. But we also got the Turn of Tide. Gives us a bonus action heal, which may work better here because we're not going to be fully dedicated to being tank. So with this, we also get our Oath spells, Compelled Duel, and the Command spell. So we can, we don't have to take those anymore. So we can take Bless, which makes us a good buffer. So on top of this, at level 4, we get another Lay Hands charge for our healing spells. We can take another spell. We can even just go with our Cure Wounds there. And for our feat, we're going to take up our Charisma to 18. And once we get ourselves to level 5, this is the Power Spike. We get our extra attack. So we also get some Oath spells with Warding Bond and Spiritual Weapon. As a bonus action, this is really nice. Spiritual Weapon Maul can daze targets with a special attack, and dazed targets are going to be much easier to hit command on, which is a big component of this build. So that is nice. And we're going to roll with something like this for our overall spells, Aid being a nice spell to increase the amount of health points that we have on our team. We can go here and get ourselves Aura Protection, giving us our Charisma modifier to saving throws. However, we can also add in the Bard at this point. So for cantrips, I'd like to have the Vicious Mockery there. And then we can also go with like our Minor Illusion or something like that. And for the spells, getting our bonus action Healing Word is nice. Thunderwave is a very effective spell because we knock enemies off of cliffs using this. Long Strider to buff up the team, and then Dissonant Whispers or Fairy Fire. Once we get to higher levels, we get better abilities. Level 2 gives us an extra short rest with the Song of Rest, and then the Jack of All Trades, getting half proficiency bonus to any checks that we're not proficient in. We'll just take Fairy Fire there because that can be nice against certain targets. And level 3, this is when we get to take our College of Glamour, which gives us Mantle of Inspiration. So this allows you to imbue two allies with 5 temporary health points, and if they get hit with a melee attack, the target's charmed with no check. So you can charm a lot of enemies this way. It's actually kind of nice. And for our level 2 spells that we get, we'll take Hold Person. Enchantment spell, the Paladin doesn't get it unless you take the Oath of Vengeance, so this is nice to have. And very useful because we can actually do some cool things, which I'll show you. Level 4, we get ourselves another choice in cantrip. Mage Hand can be an okay one. And for our next leveled spell, there's Shatter. There's also Invisibility if you want to be a little tank or a little more stealthy. Cloud of Daggers, another spell with no check that does a lot of damage, and if you set it up well. Heat Metal is another good choice. Is your personal preference here. And for our feat, we're going to take our Charisma up to 20. Once we make it to level 5, this gives us the Font of Inspiration. Regain all your Bardic Inspiration on a longer short rest, and the improved Bardic Inspiration goes up to a 1d8. And we also get access to level 3 spells with things like Fear being a really good spell. Glyph of Warding is a fun one too, and Plant Growth for some non-concentration crowd control. I do think that Fear is probably the best spell here because it makes targets drop their weapons. At level 6, this is when we get ourselves a Mantle of Majesty command. Command a creature to flee, move closer, freeze, drop to the ground, or drop its weapon. This is a big component of this. Basically, this is a command spell that we can get as bonus action that doesn't use a spell slot. It's very nice, so we want to use that. And for our next level spell, we'll take Glyph of Warding. And what we can do here, okay, there's a couple different ways we can go about this. If you really want to get the confusion spell, we can stay as the bard. We can go in and take the paladin here and get the aura of protection. And there's one other cool little option. Now with patch 8 offering the Hexblade Warlock, we can get our Bind Hex weapon. And when we can also get the shield spell, we already have Wrathful Smite on the Hex spell. On top of this, the big reason for taking this level is Booming Blade. We can use this once per action. It does an extra 2d8 thunder damage and 3d8 whenever the target moves. And we can do this if, let's say, we have 2 actions, we got haste on us, we can do Booming Blade, Divine Smite, Booming Blade, Divine Smite. That's a lot of extra damage. So very nice. And we also get access to Eldritch Blast. You don't have to do this, but I think this seriously buffs up the class if you really don't want the aura of protection for a 3-meter radius. As far as gear goes, the Birthright Hat gives us an additional 2 to our Charisma, which is always nice because that's what we use for our attack rolls and our spell casting. Cloak of Protection for better armor class is nice too. The Armor Persistence, reducing all incoming damage by 2 and giving us resistance to Blade Board and disadvantage on stealth checks. Gloves of the Battle Mage's Power, which was recently fixed on patch 8. So whenever we attack with our Booming Blade or Divine Smite, we gain Arcane Acuity, which gives us a bonus to our spell save DC, which is really nice to have. And the Evasive Shoes, +1 armor class. I also have the Infernal Rapier here because this gives us a bonus to spell save DC, and we can use Charisma. If we didn't use the Hexblade, it would allow us to use Charisma for our attack rolls. However, we got a lot of other options. It's a shame we don't get the ability to get our Shadow Blade, which would be really nice, but we can even use our Shadow Blade at home, the Knife Thunder Mountain King, which has Shadow Blade on it. It's not the same Shadow Blade, but it's a nice one to go with if you wanted to. This is personal preference entirely on the weapon, whatever you got best available at the time. Fowler Alluve, as I mentioned, is a really great sword because you get the Fowler Alluve melody there. Rhapsody can be a good one. If you go evil, Sharp Spear of the Evening is a really great choice too. We can also go with like the Sword of the Emperor, which is versatile. The Sword of Life Stealing, which gives us additional health on attack. And even the Sacred Star can be pretty good because it's going to apply Radiating Orbs. So if we want to go all in on Radiating Orb, we could also go with something like this and use like the Luminous Armor. So we got a lot of different options when it comes to our weapon. It's your choice. Fowler Alluve being one of the best actually in slot, and also the Knife Thunder Mountain King, which we'll roll with there. I also have Viconia's Walking Fortress and the Hellrider Longbow for the +3 initiative. The Band of the Mystic Scoundrel, as with all Paladin Bard combinations, is really good because when we do a weapon attack, we can then do bonus action abilities. We also have our bonus action Mantle of Majesty command, but if you wanted to land Hold Person instead, you got that option. And then we also have Ring of Protection and the Amulet of Greater Health. So that's what we're rolling with a 27 armor class. So now to show off what this ends up looking like in combat. So we always want to have the Mantle of Inspiration up because it's going to charm enemies that attack our teammates. So that can be really nice. It's also got that cool animation. When it comes to combat, we got a few options. I'm always on the lookout for picks with Thunderwave. So if there's people that are lined up near an edge that you can just completely wipe out without having to use anything else, I always go for that. Now, we can also set up with a Hold Person, but we can bonus action ability to do that too. So if your team needs health, Turn the Tide's a great bonus action ability. The Champion's Challenge can make everyone attack you. I don't fully recommend that, but typically I start off with a Booming Blade here, as it's going to hit really hard there, as you can see. So Booming Blade, follow up with a Divine Smite, and we got different leveled spell slots that we can use for that, depending on how much health the enemy has. And you see there, it hits really hard. And then this is a pretty solid choice to get a few knockouts just from off the ledge here if we can line these up correctly. I've seen one that worked well. Yeah, we want to try and get these knockouts as easily as possible because you can see there it's a couple that we didn't have to worry about. They just knock them off with Thunderwave. Very powerful spell. It's an underrated one. Now we got ourselves a bit of Arcane Acuity because of the glove, so +4 to our spell save DC. That's why our spells are going to land. And then we can follow with the Mantle of Majesty command. We also got our Quicken Incantation, so we can use Hold Person, or even a Dissonant Whispers as a bonus action too, which is kind of nice. And even Vicious Mockery is another choice. So I like the Mantle of Majesty, and we're going to use there's the Grovel one, or the one that we get to approach, so we can go with a target and get them to come towards us. So we'll apply it on this one. They got Command Approach hit. I should have probably used it on this spellcaster there because they're going to try and counterspell us next turn. But yeah, always target someone that's going to, you know, I should have went for the mage there. Now, we're not starving for bonus action abilities because we also got ourselves Spiritual Weapon. We got all of our bonus Channel Oath abilities. We got Righteous Clarity. There's a lot going on here. So I am a huge fan of always just going ahead with our Booming Blade anytime we can get this off, because that's a cantrip that's going to do a good amount of damage. That wasn't the highest, but then we can follow up with a Divine Smite, and usually that's enough to take them out. And again, looking for those easy picks with Thunderwave. This is like a very It's not really that cheesy. It's a spell that's in the game. I got mine broken. We're in a bit of a bind this time, so we'll just go with our classic Booming Blade into a Divine Smite combination here, because it does quite a bit of damage. That wasn't enough to take him out. We're not hitting too hard here. But then we also got our command spell that we can use after as a bonus action. And the nice thing is we can always use an upcasted version of this, so command grovel being a pretty good choice. We can grovel 3 targets. That's got a 99% chance, 99% chance, and 95% chance. So boom, we hit all 3. Always remember to reapply the Mantle of Inspiration anytime that you can, because that extra temporary health is really nice. But again, our usual go about is the Booming Blade into our Divine Smite, and we can always upcast that at any point for that extra damage that it brings. You can see there, pretty good one-shot damage, which is nice. And then on our second action, we always got the ability to use our Booming Blade and then another Divine Smite. So this can, if you're lucky, take out a ton of enemies all at once. And then we got our bonus action abilities we can follow up with afterwards. So I want to go and burn another level 3 slot and hopefully take this target out. Perfect. And then with that, we can also just drop a quickened hold person with 99% hit chance because of our gloves there. So what's nice about hold person is it skips their turn so that we can go ahead again and then get into combat pretty quickly. And since we got that hold person off, we're going to get free crits here, which will likely, one shot. 59 damage, that's crazy. And then we'll use Divine Smite there, finish off that target. And there's just one left, so we'll go use our good old dynamic duo, Booming Blade into Divine Smite. If that doesn't finish them off, nothing will. So that's the end. Oh, we get a miss. And then if there's a miss that happens, we can always just go ahead with another hold person. So that's good because they just end up skipping their turn. Boom, boom, boom. And then they're just stuck there, so that we can just go ahead with our Booming Blade again to finish them off. So that is a Oath of the Crown multiclass with the Glamour Bard. Always remember, you got even the Hexblade's Curse you can apply, and on top of that, you got the Mantle of Courage and Mantle of Majesty there. So make use of those. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.